bonus episode time. Again, I just want to take a minute to say thank you to Cory Yarmuth for coming onto the show. Man, a lot of good information in that first episode. If you haven't listened to the first episode, go back and listen to part 1, Fall Salmon Fishing in Wisconsin with Cory Yarmuth. This episode is just kind of a bonus one. We had a lot of information in there. Had to cut it down to 30 minutes, so created like a part 2 with some salmon facts, just kind of your dollars at work in Wisconsin. It's just a little bit more thoughts and some stocking science, why wind directions, water temperatures throughout the year plays a part, but why, like us deer hunters, why daylight hours are much more important. So listen in. So in Wisconsin, it's relatively inexpensive. You do need a salmon stamp, a Great Lakes salmon stamp.
Yes.
To fish.
Yes, definitely make sure you have your Lake Michigan salmon stamp.
Why do you have to have a special stamp to fish in the Great Lakes compared to going in and say?
Because that money is actually money that goes into stocking efforts for the lake, because the lake is what's called a put and take fishery. You know, every state has their quota of fish that they stock every year, and the money's generated from license sales, Lake Michigan salmon stamp sales, goes towards the fisheries and the hatcheries to stock those fish. Because Lake Michigan, the Chinook salmon is not native to Lake Michigan. The coho salmon is not native. They're actually invasive species that were put in there for the sport fishermen. And the trout and salmon stocking is paid through our license fees.
So are all 4 of the salmon species, because I know we have, and I just looked it up, I'll admit. I knew we had Atlantic coho, Chinook. I did not know we had pink salmon. Are all 4 of those?
There are some pinks.
Yeah, are those, none of them are native to the Great Lakes, correct?
Correct. Yeah, none of them are native. The native species is the lake trout, and the Chinook and coho were introduced for the sport fisheries, and that's where the alewives then came in, because they realized that they had to keep up the population of food for these new species, and because they had to do that, they introduced the alewives into the system to feed these, I hate to use the word invasive species, but the non-native species.
Well, and aren't they directly, as a result of them introducing the salmon, is it true that that's why our smelt population has declined?
Our what population?
The smelt fish?
That I'm not, honestly, I cannot speak intelligently about. That's one of the theories, is because of the decline in the alewives that they switched over to the smelt. But you start going up into northern Michigan and Wisconsin, you're going to find lots of people will disagree with that, and they're having phenomenal smelt runs. I know there is a series that I watched on Channel 11 in Chicago, public broadcasting, that did a 2-part series on invasive species in Lake Michigan. And that is one of the species they did not touch on, was the smelt. But I have noticed, very interesting, over the summer, catching salmon and finding gobies in their stomach. And I did catch one big chunky coho this summer that actually had a baby brown trout in his stomach.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Which I found was very interesting.
I don't know. I think that anytime you introduce any species that isn't wasn't there before, you're going to upset the natural order of things, which isn't always that. It isn't a bad thing always, but like you said, the smelt runs up north are phenomenal. Down here, not so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's why we have the fisheries biologists to control that, and I, even though we don't necessarily agree with them, we're kind of at their mercy because they have the knowledge and the knowledge base. I know one of the big things for what's that?
They're following the science.
Exactly. Now I do, kind of disagree with them. The being swayed by the charter captains to plant more Chinook salmon in Wisconsin and cut back on the German brown trout stocking, and that was kind of money talks kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's probably a whole different podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, because unfortunately I don't think that the dollar should dictate restocking efforts necessarily. Right?
I agree.
I agree. But what do I know? Oh, very cool. Boy, you sure have given us laid some truth nuggets on us here. And thank you for that, because...
Oh, no problem.
Now I'm itching to go again, of course. So, and one final thing. Let's kind of talk about the seasons, sort of. When, I know the water temperature is a big trigger of when you should really be out there fishing for them. Can you give us what some optimal environmental elements would be to look for?
Well, to be honest with you, one of the things that's really cool, especially about Wisconsin and McKinley area and Port Washington, is you can actually, if during the summer, if you watch for some really 4 or 5 days of west winds, what's going to happen is it's going to blow the cold water out, the warm water out, and bring the cold water in toward shore, which brings the bait fish in and then brings the salmon along with it. And even though it's not the fall run, you can get out during the summer evenings after several days of west winds and cast spoons and catch these salmon, which are now at that time feeding on the alewives, and catch them casting. And then come fall, water temperature does play a part in it, but in my opinion, what plays more of a part in it is the daylight hours. As we notice it, that it's getting dark earlier and it's getting lighter later. So the fish kind of are on the same kind of cycle. They notice that triggers in their body, that they need to spawn. So it's more
very much like
light, very much like deer, just like the rut, the daylight hours. It even if it's warm or rainy or extremely frigid, it has a little effect on it, but more of the effect is daylight hours.
If you could pick one day, if you only had one day in October to fish, what day would it be?
Probably, I would have to say beginning, the first weekend in October.
Okay. Excellent. Well, cool. Well, thank you very, very much for the information. Why don't you tell the listeners
a little
bit more, what your story is, what you're doing out there in the outdoor industry?
Well, I'm owner of Legend Outdoors. Basically, I'm a outdoor professional that I do a lot of writing, seminar speaking, I write for several outdoor publications, including Outdoor News, Midwest Outdoors. I have a blog on both my website as well as the Chicago Tribune's website. I work with a lot of outdoor companies promoting product as well as just trying to promote the sport of fishing, especially for our youth. That's the main thing that people think, hunting is the only thing that's under attack, but they don't realize that fishing is also at risk. And if we don't get our youth involved, it'll slowly die off, and who can carry the torch? So I like to, through my seminars, speaking or working at some of the bigger box stores for special events, just, do seminars about fishing the lake and whether it be ice fishing, whether it be open water fishing, and talking about, just educating people on different opportunities they have around, the areas here in Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana.
Excellent. Well, cool. We'll tell the listeners where they can find out more about you if they wanted to find out, like the website and the Facebook links.
Okay, well, it's www.legend-outdoors.com. You can also just Google me. That's Cory, and the last name is Yarmuth, and that'll bring you to quite a few different links to see some of my articles, photos, and you can, like I said, my website at legend-outdoors.com. You can has my email. You can get in touch with me if you got any other questions on anything, from salmon fishing to walleye fishing to bass fishing. If it swims, I'll fish for it.
Excellent. All right, Cory. Well, thank you again so much. Thank you so much for taking the time
thank you.
To answer these questions and really help a gal out and her listeners.
I hope I didn't confuse anymore.
No, you did not. You clarified quite a few things. All right.
Okay.
Well, that'll do it. I will let you get back to your evening, and I say thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This will publish. I might get it out tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm going to get it out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes early next week. I will tag you in the post.
Okay.
And do you mind if I go on do you have a particular photo, like a promotional photo you normally use, or can I just go grab one off your Facebook?
No, just grab whatever you.
Okay.
Yeah, just grab whatever you find.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, then I
Great.
will tag you as soon as this goes. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Carrie.
All right, have a good night.
You too.